Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are on a bit of a mission, really. We're cutting through this huge volume of news coming out of the Montreal metropolitan area.
From the South Shore all the way to the West Island.
Exactly. And the goal is to understand the core trends that are, fundamentally reshaping the city as we're closing out 2025.
And if you look across this whole stack of sources, we're talking articles, municipal reports, all the demographic research one, a really powerful pattern starts to emerge.
Yeah.
Montreal is doing this profound act of, let's call it strategic urban alchemy. It's like a triple helix. You've got cultural depth, deep community roots, and then this massive strategic infrastructure investment.
And they're all combining.
They're all combining to turn things that were historical liabilities, contaminated industrial zones or eroding shorelines, into modern high-value assets.
Okay, so let's unpack that transformation.
Right.
It's so tempting to just start with the headline-grabbing mega projects, right?
The cranes in the sky.
Right. But the most foundational story, I think, lies a bit deeper. Our first surprise nugget of knowledge actually takes us to LaSalle.
Oh, this is a great place to start.
The Chinese wellness community is celebrating a huge milestone there. And this isn't just some local event. It's symbolic of the profound, long-standing contributions of the Sino-Montrealais community.
It says so much about integration, about cultural sharing. I mean, you see these groups dedicated to wellness practices like Tai Chi and Qigong.
And they're using public spaces as their own community commons.
They are, and not just in LaSalle. You see them in the parks of Brossard, in community centers, in Côte-de-Neige NDG, and Saint Laurent, and of course, right in the heart of the historical district, Dragon Gate Park in Chinatown.
That contribution, especially for, senior health and keeping families connected across generations, it's such a vital part of Montreal's social fabric.
And it's a reminder of the sheer scale of this community, isn't it? It's one of Montreal's oldest.
We're talking, an estimated 111,000 people today?
Yeah, that's over 2.6% of the whole metro population. To really get the current profile, you have to look at the three distinct waves of migration that built this presence.
Okay, so the first wave.
Pioneers. They arrived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. They centered in the historical Chinatown, mostly setting up laundries and the first restaurants.
And then came the second wave.
Exactly. Between about 1967 and 1990, we saw waves coming mainly from Hong Kong and Taiwan. And that's when you start to see the expansion into the suburbs, especially Brossard.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Since 1990, that third wave has been massive.
Yeah.
Highly educated, highly qualified influx, mostly from mainland China and Hong Kong.
And that has completely reshaped the economic geography. These new arrivals are concentrating in high-income areas like Saint Laurent and, very notably on the Rive Sud in Brossard.
So that solidifies their economic and professional profile.
It does. But what's fascinating here is the resilience of the historic Chinatown itself. Even with some residential decline in the area, it's still a critical cultural and commercial hub.
And that didn't happen by accident.
No, at all. It was a strategic effort.
So how is it protected? I mean, you see so much speculation in other urban cores.
Well, it's a designated historic site with a dedicated action plan. But the real key, I think, is the ownership structure. These long-standing family associations, the Wang, the Li, the Hum associations, they collectively own many of the commercial properties, and that collective intergenerational stability has insulated the neighborhood from short-term developer pressure. It's kept its cultural character.
So what we're seeing is a transition. It's a shift from that old economic model, sort of subsistence entrepreneurship, symbolized by the closure of a giant like Wang Wing, founded in 1948, to a new era.
A new era of high-tech and finance, absolutely. You have figures like Vincent Ku in major real estate development, Nathan Xi in the investment sector, and groups like the Canada-China Business Council, the CCBC, playing this huge coordinating role.
So this is a community that's powering some of the city's most sophisticated economic engines.
And culturally, the influence is just profound. I mean, think about Montreal's international identity. It's bolstered by people like Walter Chion Tom, who was instrumental in fighting for Chinatown's preservation.
Or the historian Timothy Chu-Man Chan.
Documenting all those untold stories of the early settlers. And then you have artists like Karen Tam, whose work challenges cultural stereotypes on the world stage. Or the writer Ying Chen, whose novels explore these universal themes of identity and displacement.
That strong foundation of community naturally leads us to, well, one of its most visible and, let's be honest, delicious cultural exports. gastronomy.
Of course.
Our sources are highlighting a new exhibition at the McCord-Stewart Museum au Menu, Montreal, which confirms that the city's plate is basically a cultural map of immigration.
It really is. I mean, we talk about quintessential Montreal food, but almost every single staple traces back to foundational immigrant groups
You mean like smoked meat in the bagel?
from the Jewish communities, which is why the delis are globally iconic. After World War II, Italian migration made pizza and spaghetti Quebec family staples. The Chinese community provided that accessible comfort food, and then after the 1960s, Greek immigrants popularized souvlaki and gyros.
And all the while, the local scene was innovating. You've got poutine, right, which starts in rural Quebec but gets popularized in the city's casse-croûtes.
And the big rotisserie chains like Saint Hubert, they basically pioneered the mass delivery model. But the real turning point for diversification had to be Expo 67.
Right. It just exposed the city to a genuine global palate. It legitimized foreign cuisine as high-quality dining.
That event cemented the idea that food was culture, not just fuel. And the evolution from there is rapid. The 60s to 80s, that was classic fine dining in the deli age.
Then the 90s and 2000s, that's the rise of high Quebecois cuisine, places like Tokay, au Pied de Cochon.
Putting Montreal firmly on the international gastronomic map. And today the focus is hyperlocal, it's ethical, socio-ecological. You see it in models like Chic Resto Pop.
And this isn't just about culture, it's a huge economic driver. The accommodation and food services sector, the SHR, contributes an estimated, $3.1 billion to the Montreal GDP?
And that's a pre-pandemic figure. It employed over 75,600 people. It's a massive employer. But we do need to add a critical note here.
The current economy.
Exactly. Inflation has hit consumers hard. Our sources show that spending on dining out has dropped from nearly 40% of the average food budget. So it's a culturally vibrant sector, but it's navigating some very choppy economic waters right now.
It certainly is. Okay, let's shift gears. From cultural vibrancy to maybe the most visible engine of urban transformation, the Réseau Express Metropolitan, the REM.
This system is the catalyst for massive, dense, transit-oriented development, or TOD, and Brossard on the South Shore is absolutely leading the charge on this vertical growth.
They're using their strong financial health to push this incredibly ambitious plan. They're aiming to add up to 25,000 housing units.
With 12,000 of them concentrated right around the REM stations in what they're calling their new city center.
And they have the money to do it. The city had a healthy surplus in 2024, over $14 million, and their net debt ratio is remarkably low. It's like $1.20 per $100 of evaluation.
Compared to the provincial average of $1.78, they are financially sound and ready to go.
And the demographics explain this aggressive approach, right? Brossard is a magnet.
Absolutely. 42% of the population are immigrants, 41% have a university degree, and the average household income was high, over $100,000 back in 2021.
So it's rich, diverse, and the RM gives them the mandate for this rapid densification.
And we're already seeing it happen. The first 30-story tower just got approved near Panama Station. And you have huge private investments like Plan A near Dix 30. That's a $400 million commitment for up to 900 new units.
And the REM effect is just as transformative on the West Island, which, has historically resisted this kind of densification.
Oh, definitely. Look at the Village Lacey Green project in Kirkland. That's an $850 million project centered around the Fairview Point Claire Remen Station.
And it's a fascinating case study in managing growth anxieties, isn't it?
It is. They spent 6 years on citizen consultation. 6 years.
Yeah.
And the result was this crucial compromise, a unique residential mix.
It's not just condos?
No. It has over 950 condos and rental units, which is standard TOD, but it also has 11 townhouses and 47 single-family home lots. That last part was a direct, intelligent response to local concerns, and it got the community to accept the necessary density.
It shows that TOD doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all solution. And they're starting phase 1 with a 9-story, 252-unit rental building. That's a major injection of dense rental housing.
Right. And as we focus on all this massive new construction, it raises a question: what is the city doing about its existing, beautiful, but sometimes obsolete built environment?
That brings us perfectly to revitalization and resilience. Montreal is showing incredible creativity in recycling its heritage. And the Bain Matthew is just a perfect, captivating example.
I love this story. It was a 1931 public swimming pool in Center Sud. Instead of letting it decay or bulldozing it, they transformed it into a contemporary event venue.
And the key is they kept the original basin.
They kept the original ceramic basin. You are basically standing in the deep end when you go to an event. It's spectacular. It draws over 20,000 visitors a year, and it follows these other successful models.
Like the Utcher Paradox, which was a church, or not man house, a historic home turned into a tech hub.
It's a philosophy of urban recycling.
And that philosophy extends to nature, too. We're seeing a huge investment, $85.8 million, to secure and rehabilitate 10 kilometers of riverbanks in 6 key sectors.
This is a direct quality of life investment. They're using bioengineering, using nature itself, to secure the banks against erosion. The goal is to let people have those great stress-free walks by the water.
And that's validated by the huge shift we saw post-COVID, right? Park attendance just soared.
It soared by up to 150% in some nature parks. The demand for protected, accessible green space is just enormous, and the city is responding strategically.
And that recycling philosophy is also driving economic renewal in the industrial East End. The city accelerated the sale of over 1 million square feet of formerly contaminated land in RDP Pat.
It's a textbook example of transforming an environmental liability. The city invested $14 million just in decontamination on those 2 lots alone. And they aren't just selling land, they are strategically targeting industrial projects in clean tech and the circular economy.
With construction potentially starting as early as 2026.
They are turning environmental scars into high-value economic drivers for the future.
Okay, let's pull back and look at what makes Montreal such a magnet for people and for capital. We talk a lot about the joie de vivre factor.
And our sources confirm it's a real thing. Readers of MTL blog cited culture, superior snow removal, which is a crucial asset in a northern city, and the amazing cycling network and BXSI system.
And that confidence, that belief that the city is a good place to live and invest, that's what underpins the massive $24 billion 10-year Capital Works program.
The PDI, the source of the infamous orange cone joke.
Right. But it is a sign of health, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you balance that need for long-term health with the immediate frustration and disruption?
That's the core challenge. But the constant investment is necessary, and its scale is what makes Montreal so attractive to global capital. It signals stability.
And a lot of that is U.S. investment.
A huge amount. Historically, 46% of foreign investment comes from the U.S., leading to thousands of jobs. 4,790 created or maintained in 2024 alone, with high average salaries.
And here's the perfect anecdote that illustrates this magnetic pull. The Siebel Institute of Technology, a centennial brewing school from Chicago, is moving its entire operation to Montreal in 2026.
It's a powerful statement. They cited complex U.S. regulations for international students as a driving factor. Montreal just offers a more competitive academic and regulatory environment for specialized global education.
And it's not just brewing.
Oh, not at all. American capital is flocking to high-value sectors. AI giants like Cohere, health tech firms like Safely You and AmpliWork, and the gaming industry is booming, with Hasbro opening a major Dungeons & Dragons studio here.
So finally, let's circle back to the OREM, because that $24 billion isn't just steel and concrete. It also incorporates the art of urban transit.
Yes, the theme of re-enchanting the city is perfectly captured by the public art integrated right into the stations. The Du Montagne line just opened, connecting to the metro.
At key hubs like Bonaventure and McGill.
And at the Deep-Bore Edouard Montpetit station, you find Manuel Mettu's 5 magnificent mosaics called Le Mont Habité.
And they aren't arbitrary, are they?
Not at all. They're inspired by the mountain's own gabbro rock, the very geology of the space you're in. Art is transforming necessary infrastructure into a cultural landmark. It turns the daily commute into an immersive experience.
So if we synthesize all of this, the community depth, the cultural resilience, the infrastructure spending, what's the central takeaway for you, the listener?
I think the final synthesis is that Montreal's success is built on this sustained, virtuous circle. Its cultural attractiveness and diversity foster huge demographic growth. That growth, which draws thousands of non-permanent residents and skilled immigrants, then justifies and sustains the massive public investment.
That $24 billion PDI.
Exactly. It's necessary for long-term health and modernization.
So we've seen that these quality-of-life investments, whether it's protecting riverbanks, adaptively reusing heritage buildings like Bain Matthew, or commissioning major public art for transit stations, they aren't just nice to have.
No, they're the fundamental drivers of economic success and global magnetism.
Which raises an important final question for you to think about as you consider all this rapid transformation.
Given this incredibly strong demand and all this strategic public investment, how can Montreal ensure that its famous joie de vivre remains accessible and affordable for all its existing citizens, especially when you think about the persistent challenge of housing inflation?
That tension, then, between explosive growth and equitable affordability.
That is the city's defining challenge for the years ahead.